Good day, and welcome to another edition of One-on-One with Swope Health. I am your host, Eric Wesson. Thanks so much for joining us today. We got a smoker for you. This is hot off the presses and everything else. So joining us today is Miss Andrea Shelby. She is the owner, proprietor of the Juke House and of the famous Shelby Entertainment Clan here in Kansas City, Missouri. Andrea, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us about Andrea. Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
I grew up here in Kansas City. I graduated from Hickman Mills High School a long time ago. But I went to Langston University in Langston, Oklahoma, is where I got my undergraduate, and I have a master's from Webster University here in Kansas City. So,
kids, you have somebody that's...
I have a fur baby.
You got a fur baby?
Cookie, yes. No children. I opted out of that many moons ago. So it's just me and my fur baby and the rest of my family.
Okay. Nephew is the one that's playing.
Yes, I have a nephew that's just got to Philadelphia 76ers on a two-way contract.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was somebody in your family that was in sports. I
thought
it was your son.
Yeah, no, not my son.
Because you was blowing him up, but that's a proud auntie.
That's a proud auntie. Yeah, blow him up, watch him, check him out, and Kansas City does do that.
Go to church anywhere?
Right now, I do not have a home church, but I grew up at churches. Southside First Baptist Church was my home church, and then went to St. James United Methodist Church for many years.
Okay, so let's get to the nuts and bolts of why you're here today. So, you're on 18th Street. You are one of the independently operated businesses there. So, a couple of weeks ago, after Juneteenth, there was a homicide, a shooting, and the mayor, in all of his glory, jumps on social media and makes a comment that he would gladly meet with the owners of businesses down there on what the city can do. So tell us about the journey since you've been there.
Well, it's a long journey. We've been there coming up on 20 years next year. Next April will be 20 years that we've been on 18th Street. And so it's definitely been a long journey as far as security with the Kansas City Police Department and just the city in general. When we first got there, we brought our own security company. And after many years of being there, the Kansas City Police Department just, felt it upon themselves to harass that security company that we provided security for our business. And so eventually they got tired of being harassed by Kansas City Police Department, so they left. And then once they left, we went through a couple of other security companies and tried to hire Kansas City Police Department, hired them, and they never showed up for work.
Get out of here.
No, never showed up for work. And so back in probably 2009, 2010, 12, around those times, because we were well known in the city, we brought our own customers down to 18th Street from 75th Street and 86th Street from the other business that we had. So at that point in time, people started to kind of just hang out on the corners and things like that. So my father and I, sat with Kansas City Police Department to discuss security in the area. And of course, at that time, they were like, well, it's a low crime area. And so our focus is basically on the other entertainment areas where more high risk. And so that's what we were. And so years upon years, and now here comes 2016, 17, where we get more businesses, that are doing different things, other eateries, drink establishment, T-shirt shops, just a plethora of other things that are there. And so now it's a hangout spot. So now people feel comfortable hanging out. And of course, what hanging out, consists of at the end is always some type of tragic event. And again, another meeting with Kansas City Police Department. How can we fix this? How can you come and help us secure this area? Because we can't afford to police it ourselves. We're not the police. These are city streets. And so, fast forward, we started doing Juneteenth events about, I guess, 15 years ago, because we just celebrated that. And so with that, we had to, get Kansas City Police Department, hired them, at their regular rates, no discounts or anything for a community event. And, once the events are over, you still have people hanging out. However, the Kansas City Police Department, they're out of there. And so, we're at our own, to provide our own safety, security at that time, and we can't secure the whole premises. So you have the people lingering around, hanging out on Paseo in the back of Greg Kleiss or in the front of Greg Kleiss. They're just everywhere. And so it's just hard to control. And then, of course, hanging out, another tragedy. So I would say probably in the last 8 years, I think there's been probably 8 shootings or killings down in the district. Just from people hanging out and not going into the businesses.
So, in your ideal situation, because I know you had mentioned bringing the police in and paying the police, and then at 11 o'clock, boom, they're off the clock, they ride off into the sunset, leaving people hanging around there. In an ideal situation, what would you like to see happen?
An ideal situation for me, they are there. Don't get me wrong. They're there till 2 or 3 o'clock, but they are back in a cut and you won't be able to see them, and they're not coming until the smoke is cleared. But to be present, to roam around, not necessarily have to get out your car, but the problem is we just don't have enough of them. I think we are allotted 2 patrol cars, maybe 4 officers through the weekend, from Friday night to Sunday night. And so most of the time they basically sit in their car, looking at the business or looking at people loitering. They're not actively saying, hey, you can't loiter here. You got to get up. You got to get out of here. That's what has to happen. You can't just sit there. You can't just decide, oh, we're going to tow the cars. The people that are not in the cars are, guess what, in the businesses. And so, my patrons come out and their car is gone. How fair is that? They're coming to have a good time, mingle, or whatever, inside. And then you have the loiterers just doing whatever they want to, having a whole party with themselves and their friends when they could do that in their own neighborhoods. So the police have to actually police. Get out the cars. Hey, move the people around. Get them out of there. Keep them moving. It would be a much safer environment if that happens.
So I did an article several weeks ago about that situation you were talking about in the next page about the people's cars getting towed away. Explain that to our viewers.
Last year, 2025, when the police were, there, they just started towing cars like at Greg Kleiss or right behind me on Highland and at the Urban Academy with no warning. This year, I was actually walking the street myself, and they decided that we're going to tow the car. So they did let me know. So I was able to go in and say, to my customers, say, hey, if you're parked in this location, you need to move your car, blah, blah, blah. So after my video went viral, which, hey, I guess that works, they obviously come to a conclusion and take the no parking signs down that they had put up in 2025 and just take those down. They're supposed to add the no loitering signs up there, but I haven't seen those yet. And so they haven't been harassing the people yet, but yet still they haven't moved along the loiterers either. They're still there. So, it's got to have some give or take. You got to get those people out of there or we will continue to have the same issues.
So what about the city council people? Have they been engaging in this process? I know the mayor steps forward with a lot of comments about things, but what about Melissa and Melissa? Are they engaging in some way? Yes,
they have been engaging. Melissa Robinson has been the most one of the persons that engaged the most. She has definitely been, one of our adversaries, if you will, to try to combat the situation. So her stepping in with the police and with the mayor, with the rest of the city council, has definitely made them stop towing the cars. So that has been a advantage.
So, is your cash register overflowing during the World Cup, the FIFA? Running, you can't count all the customers or the money?
Absolutely not. That is not the case. Just kind of like the NFL draft. There was a lot of hoopla and what you expect and what you should do for your business. And, this time around, it's like I'm not doing anything. I'm not opening any extra. I'm not doing anything. I'm not hiring any extra staff because they are not actually driving those people to our district. There's a few things that could have happened, but they didn't. So no, our regular customers, our regular community has been keeping us afloat.
How do you feel about the pedestrian mall and walkway on 18th Street? Has that helped your business, or what exactly has they done? Oh, she's taking her glasses off now.
Well, the pedestrian mall, it's beautiful. The scenery is lovely. But no, it has not increased any business. No.
Foot traffic is the same, or
foot traffic is the same. It's going to be the same. Well, let me just change that. It has been a few more pieces of foot traffic. People coming to see what the pedestrian mall looks like. That's not necessarily drawing them to the businesses, though. They're just coming to see what it looks like, a finished product.
Okay. So I did notice one thing about Juneteenth. It seemed like it was a little awkward because the street is narrower now. The vendors were closer together and people didn't have that real lane to walk down because all of the scenery there. Does that create an issue for you all?
It can create an issue for us as far as emergency vehicles trying to get in and out. But I'm not sure if the city really cares about that because, we were down for 12 months and they couldn't really get in if they really needed to. So that's something that we'll have to navigate, next year through Juneteenth if we have a Juneteenth since they cut that funding. But yeah, it was a little bit more difficult to get through the aisles, the roadways, but we managed, and maybe next year we set it up differently, the vendors just be on one side of the road, and maybe that would, I don't know, it's just trial and error at this point.
So in addition to the new pedestrian mall, there are other businesses down there. And my thing has always been, you have to do something, create some business there that creates foot traffic.
Correct.
A hat store, a shoe store, clothing store, or something that creates foot traffic, because people that go down on 18th Street, that's their destination. They're going to the museum, they're going to the Juke House, they're going, I guess, to Smacks maybe and Daiquiri. But what about something there that creates foot traffic to people say, well, while we down here shoe shopping or hat shopping, let's go in the Juke House and get some of those chicken wings.
Yeah, that would have been ideal. I think during the World Cup, they opened up a couple of storefronts and invited a couple of new businesses in to try to create the foot traffic. So we have a new Safi Fresh there on the corner of 18th and Paseo that has fresh eateries, and they do breakfast and lunch. And then they've also added a T-shirt shop. I believe it's called Grind. That's just in between Highland and Woodland, and another home decor shop that's there. there still is not enough foot traffic for those businesses to sustain. I don't know the agreements that they have with the city to get more businesses in there. I don't know what their agreement is with the city for how long they're going to be there. I don't know if that's just a short-term situation just because of FIFA. I'm hoping that they'll also get more businesses so those people can stay and we can get more, foot traffic, ice cream store, cleaners or something, It has to be something for people to come. Even the residents that are around there, what is wrong with the small little market? For them that not have to go 20 miles or whatever to the nearest grocery store that probably is ridiculous expensive, Costantino's downtown. Something that's favorable for our community, that's going to help them with their living situations, something else.
So during this period, and I guess they wanted to fill the storefronts, but I didn't see a lot of advertisement on the city's behalf of driving people to the 18th and Vine area.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
I didn't see that either. You would think that with the big deal with the pedestrian mall, there would have been several commercials or something saying, hey, we finished our project, come take a look, support the local businesses. You don't see any of that. The local businesses, I created my own lane and created my own advertisement to let people know, hey, we're still here. This is how you navigate to get around and get to us. Come check us out. We as individual entrepreneurs, business owners, we should have not had to do that because we've already endured 12 months of the street being closed and trying to draw our own traffic there. They have done nothing. Out of 18 months of communication with those people, they didn't do anything that they said they were going to do. As far as let people know what's going on, where to park, how to navigate, they did none of that.
I saw Bob. He put his own signs up. To tell people how to get to the museum, and that the museum was open and it was still there. But if you looked at the optic of it, you'd think that the only thing in Kansas City was the memorial area where they did the Fan Fest and Power and Light. They promoted those two agencies and those two groups, rather. They promoted them throughout the whole World Cup. I never saw anything mentioned about doing, even when they had the big screen down on 18th Street. I didn't know about that until the lady did the live and showed the 7 people that were down there, including the entertainers on the stage.
Yeah, so that's a loaded. So I'll start with the memorial and Power and Light. Yes, those are the attractions that everybody knows that's what they were going to do. That was a no-brainer. The big screen in the middle of 18th Street blocking the Juke House, that was a whole
mess, catastrophe.
That was a waste of money. Okay, so those group of people got together that aren't even on 18th Street. So, and formed a group that, comprised of one business that's there that's not a tax, is non-for-profit. Another business there is a non-for-profit, and another group that came in from out of nowhere, right?
Wow.
So you have these 3 entities, and then they have been having meetings since November of 2025, and then I just happened to get on the call by accident, and they did not invite the Juke House, Smacks, Velvet Freeze, or anyone else in the district for FIFA meeting that they were having on what to do. And up until probably May that they started sending an invite for the meetings, and then they had a press release in May, I believe, and we were invited to that. But you invited us to something that you've already had your stage set, and you'd invite us to the table. We work here every day. And what the difference is, those are people that were granted $80,000 to put on this show or their activation for FIFA for June to July. And so you got $80,000, and the local businesses were not included, were not given any type of stipend to help support your whatever you're doing, to draw business to us. That could have worked way differently. The difference between someone coming getting $80,000 from a business owner, entrepreneur that's out here that know how to make $80,000, we could have tripled that money had they brought us to the table. But your $80,000, you didn't spend $80,000 in entertainment or anything. I do know that.
Wow.
And so where is the money? What did it benefit? It didn't benefit anybody in this community. It didn't benefit any of the standing businesses that are paying taxes in that area.
Wow.
We weren't invited. Now all of a sudden I'm getting emails and recordings of your meetings. I can't even access them because I'm not adding another app to my phone to get the meeting notes. And who cares at this point? I wasn't invited at the table. I'm not signing off on the street closure, because once you invite me to the table, let's go out here and let's break bread. Let's bring our community in. Let's make some money and make us look great. You guys spent all this money, or whatever money you spent, and it's the same people. Your cousins is the DJ, your sister and people are the audio people and the stage bringers. If we want to, put it out on the table, we can put it out on the table and answer those questions. Those are questions that I need to be answered. How come you didn't include us? We're here. You don't even work down here.
And you've been there.
I've been there 20 years.
20 years.
20 years. And you're going to just ignore the fact of that and block my building of people that you thought that were coming? This could have been a whole different scenario. You could have brought us all to the table. We could have found... there's so many different clubs from those countries that are visiting the U.S. And so we could have found a Ghana club, we could have found a Colombia club, another club, and they could have filled those streets just like they're doing over at Power and Light and in at the Memorial or wherever. And we could have had those stationed and just, a nice little festive party. But they didn't do that because they were concerned about the small little $80,000 and how to split it amongst them three.
Wow. And when you think about it, I had went to several of those meetings when they were doing the pedestrian mall. And they were having us put those stickers on the Post-it notes, your facial expression, putting those Post-it notes on there. And I distinctly remember people in the apartments up at the top and businesses saying, we don't want this and there's a better way to do this. And they just ignored all of that and did it anyway.
They did, because during those meetings, I believe there were 3 different streetscapes that they were considering.
Right.
One was what we have currently. The other 2, one was leaving some parking, and then the other one was leaving all the parking. And so because they did not consider ADA, for people that have problems walking a distance or whatever, so now they still have to park in the back, or they can park in the new parking garage that's on 18th and Lydia. This is like 4 blocks.
4 blocks away.
And so there isn't a place where people can get out, because let's say if it's a high traffic situation and cars are coming, so you can barely get the 2 cars 2 ways, right? Exactly. So if someone's going to the museum or stopping at the Juke House or even now the Boone Theater, you're stopping traffic to let your handicapped person out of the car. So there wasn't any consideration for ADA. And so that's a negative. But the garage that's on 18th and Lydia, is it for the district or is it for another project that's coming in 5 to 10 years?
It's for that other project that's coming in 4 or 5 years.
Exactly.
And you know, if you say something about that, because I engaged in a conversation with one of our council members about it, they say you're being negative. And this is progress. There's a difference between progress and being, I guess, functional.
Mm-hmm.
And doing something that makes sense. All of these glitz and glamour things are great, but is it practical? Practical is the word I'm looking
Yeah.
for.
Is it practical? It is not practical. I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely great for the long term vision, right? But there's other spaces that we could have put a garage, right? And that garage wasn't even open on Juneteenth.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not.
Get outta
Not on Saturday
here.
the 20th. It was not open.
Older people go to 18th and Vine. They go to the Blue Room. They go to the Juke House. They support the district. So was it feasible to come up with a parking garage 4 blocks down the street and take away the street parking that was already there? Because remind you, Alan Gray's project there, they closed their parking lot now. So you got to park on the street, and then they take the street parking out and force people to park. So was it feasible to do it the way that they did it?
No, not at all. It wasn't at all. I have witnessed a couple of customers coming from the Blue Room up to the Juke House, and you know they have these nice little benches that they put out, and so they rest on the bench, and then they make their way down and they rest on the next bench until they get to their car that's probably on Vine or in the back, or somewhere. So it wasn't feasible.
But it looked good.
It looks wonderful.
And that was the goal and objective.
That was the goal and objective. What's kind of funny is what I've noticed, participating in different meetings and things like that, and the people that have the money or making the decision, a lot of them are elderly.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder, are they doing it? I don't know how long they're really going to be around to really see those projects being finished. And are they thinking about the end results in 10 years? What is this going to look like? How functional would this district be?
Mm.
What businesses are we bringing here that can last 10 years? Especially an entrepreneur. It's tough to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough to run a business because you always have to figure out some creative ideas to draw in customers. And usually when people land at a location, they're like, oh, this is a great location. It has great foot traffic. Not so much on 18th Street.
So what would you like to see come up there in the summer? And they were talking about having concerts and things on 18th Street. And I'm wondering, is that for the winter? Because concrete is hot. And if you're having a concrete out there, it's all that concrete, it's 100 degrees.
I would like to see, some concerts or whatever, but I think that's kind of out the window because they were that grass area that's kind of adjacent from the Juke House, cat corner from us. They were going to put like a little amphitheater there where it could be outdoor entertainment, but that got scratched after they dug it up and had to put more dirt back down and grass it. So that was an option. So I guess we will be able to utilize that for maybe some outdoor activity. We still have the great lawn in the back that could be used for, outdoor activity. Congressman Cleaver usually has some events during the summer, live music out there on the Great Lawn. So those are some good things that we continue to have. I'd like to see they communicate with the businesses a little bit more on what's going to happen. I would like the businesses, the Jazz Museum, the Negro League Museum, to communicate with all of us so we know what's on your program so all of us can benefit. Because one, it's not that much parking. And so we all need to make sure that our customers are aware and know how to navigate the district when they do come to visit. So, yeah, it could be a great place, but we just have to work together to get there.
All right. Andrea Shelby is our guest today. She is the owner of the Juke House. Give us the hours.
We are open Wednesday through Sunday, 5 p.m. to 1 a.m., and we have live music Thursday through Sunday. Live music on Thursday is 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Fridays, sometimes it varies from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then Saturdays, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And Sunday, we have a matinee from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay, what about lunch?
We are not open for lunch because we do not have enough foot traffic to sustain that.
Yeah, so the city needs to focus on a way to get some foot traffic down there at lunchtime.
Absolutely, yes.
So people can get some of those wings and we don't have to wait till the nighttime.
Wings and more. We serve more than wings. So we have a great menu, so come check us out.
But check out the wings. Andrea, thanks so much for joining us today. As always, I've got the greatest viewing audience in the world. Till next time, remember, tough times don't last, tough people do. Until next time, peace.